The assembly hall stretched so far that its walls disappeared into artificial mist at the edges. Captain Jiho Park stood behind Ambassador Hana Kim, watching over 800 alien species fill the massive chamber. Some floated in gravity pods. Others crawled on specialized platforms. A few existed as energy patterns contained in crystalline structures. After 50 years, Jiho still found the diversity breathtaking. But today, something felt wrong. Hana sat perfectly still in the human delegation section, her hands folded on the table before her. Next to her, Counselor Minho Choi reviewed documents on his tablet, his face carefully neutral. Jiho had served with both of them long enough to recognize the tension in their shoulders. "The vote will now commence," High Chancellor Vexler announced from the central podium. The reptilian being's scales gleamed under the chamber lights. His voice carried the weight of 3,000 years of life, all in favor of the Developmental Limitation Act. Lights began appearing across the chamber. Blue for yes, red for no. The massive display showed the count climbing rapidly. Jiho watched the numbers with growing concern. Aisho leaned close to Hana. "It's going to pass." "I know," she whispered back. The blue count hit 700. Then 720. 731. The red count stopped at 116. "The measure passes," Vexler declared. "Humanity will be restricted from military expansion and colonization for the next 500 years, allowing time for proper development under the guidance of elder species." Jiho felt his jaw tighten. 500 years. They were restricting humanity's growth for 500 years because they considered humans too young, too dangerous, too unpredictable. Hana rose slowly from her seat. The chamber quieted as she walked to the speaker's platform. Jiho followed, as protocol demanded, staying 3 steps behind her. "Ambassador Kim," Vexler said with what passed for a smile among his species, "you may address the assembly." Hana looked across the vast chamber. She took her time, making eye contact with as many delegations as possible. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm and clear. 50 years ago, humanity came to this assembly seeking friendship. We came seeking partnership. We shared our technology, our culture, our resources. We followed your laws. We respected your customs. We asked only to be treated as equals." She paused, letting the words settle. "Today you have answered that request. You have told us that we are not equals. You have told us that we are children who need supervision. You have told us that our voice does not matter, that our sovereignty is conditional, that our future is yours to decide." Vexler shifted uncomfortably. "Ambassador, the Assembly only seeks to help humanity develop properly. Many species have undergone similar guidance periods." "Similar guidance periods?" Hana repeated softly. "Is that what you call it when you strip a species of its right to determine its own destiny?" Murmurs spread through the chamber. Several delegations looked uncomfortable. "The human race has survived ice ages, plagues, wars, near extinction, environmental collapse, and countless other disasters," Hana continued. "We learned to split the atom. We learned to leave our planet. We learned to travel between stars. We did all of this without your guidance. We did all of this as a species you now claim is too immature to make its own decisions." Senator Calmore, a being of pure thought housed in a mechanical shell, spoke from the Elder Council section. "This is precisely the arrogance that concerns us. Humanity's aggressive expansion, your militaristic tendencies, your inability to see the long view. 5 centuries is but a moment to species like us. It is a small price for stability." "A small price," Hana said. 20 generations of humans told they cannot reach for the stars because ancient beings decided it was not their time. 20 generations living under restrictions they did not consent to. Imposed by powers that fear what they do not control. "Ambassador Kim, you speak dangerously," Vexler warned. Hana turned to face him directly. "I speak honestly, Chancellor. Something that appears to make this assembly uncomfortable. You dress this up in diplomatic language in concerns for development and stability. But the truth is simple. You fear humanity. You fear what we might become if left to grow at our own pace. So you bind us with laws and call it guidance. The chamber erupted in protests from the elder species. Dozens of voices called out in various languages. Translators struggling to keep up with the chaos. Hannah waited for the noise to die down. When it did, she spoke again, and this time her voice was cold as deep space. You have made your position clear. The human race will remember this day. She turned from the podium and walked back to the human delegation. Minho and the other human representatives stood as she reached them. They gathered their materials in complete silence. No rushing. No drama. Just careful, methodical preparation to leave. Jiho watched the other species. Some looked satisfied. Others seemed uncertain. A few younger species, ones who had also felt the weight of elder dominance, watched the humans with something like understanding in their alien eyes. The human delegation walked toward the exit as one unified group. Their footsteps echoed in the suddenly quiet chamber. No one spoke. No one made a sound. The silence itself became a statement more powerful than any words. As they reached the massive doors, Vexler called out, Ambassador Kim, the Assembly hopes this will not damage our future relationship. Hannah stopped. She did not turn around. For a long moment she stood there, her back to the entire Galactic Assembly. Then she continued walking, and the human delegation followed her out. The doors closed behind them with a deep, resonant boom. Inside the chamber, the silence stretched. Then the whispers began. Species turned to each other, discussing what had just happened. Some laughed it off as human pride wounded by necessary restrictions. Others felt a chill they could not explain. They will calm down, Vexler announced to the Assembly. Humanity is young. They do not yet understand that we act in their best interest. But Senator Calmore, whose species had existed for 8,000 years and had seen countless civilizations rise and fall, felt something he had not experienced in millennia. It was a feeling his ancestors might have called dread. He had seen the look in Ambassador Kim's eyes as she left. It was not anger. It was not even hatred. It was something far more dangerous. It was certainty. The kind of certainty that came from a decision already made, a path already chosen, a future already glimpsed. The elder species believed they had put humanity in its place, that they had neutralized a potential threat through legal means. Calmore suspected they had done the exact opposite. They had given humanity a reason. And in his long existence he had learned that a species with a reason was far more dangerous than a species with mere ambition. The Assembly moved on to other business. Treaties were discussed. Trade agreements were negotiated. The Developmental Limitation Act was filed and recorded. And in human space, far from the Assembly Hall, messages began transmitting at faster-than-light speeds. Every human colony, every human ship, every human outpost received the same brief communication from Ambassador Hannah Kim. It contained only 3 words. We are done. 3 weeks after the walkout, Admiral Suji Yoon stood in the command center of Earth's primary defense station, watching the last human merchant ship cross back into protected space. The vessel, a massive cargo hauler called Morning Trade, had been operating in the Talvex sector for 30 years. Now it was coming home. That's the last one, Admiral, her communications officer reported. Suji nodded. Activate protocol silence. Across human space, spanning 47 star systems and 238 colonies, the same order was executed simultaneously. Every communication relay turned inward. Every diplomatic frequency went dark. Every trade beacon shut down. Humanity pulled back behind its borders and locked the door. Director Kyung Bae reviewed the intelligence reports in his underground office on Earth. His agency had spent months preparing for this moment, carefully documenting every human citizen living in alien territory, every mixed population station, every human scientist working in collaborative projects. They were all coming home now. The evacuation is 96% complete, his assistant reported. The remaining 4% have declined to return. Their choice, Kyung said quietly. Make sure they understand they're on their own. We can't protect them anymore. They understand, sir. On the assembly station, Ambassador Hana Kim supervised the final departure of human staff. The embassy was being closed. Furniture, equipment, decades of accumulated diplomatic materials, all packed and shipped back to human space. A Draven diplomat approached her as she sealed the last container. The insectoid being's wings fluttered nervously. Ambassador, surely this is an overreaction? The assembly still values human input. Perhaps if negotiations were reopened, there is nothing to negotiate, Hannah said simply. The assembly has made its decision. Humanity has made ours. But the trade agreements, the cultural exchanges, the scientific collaborations, are all concluded. Thank you for your concern. Hannah nodded politely and continued her work. The Draven diplomat left. Clearly disturbed. Within 2 months, the galaxy began to feel humanity's absence. It started small, a manufacturing station that relied on human-designed efficiency protocols found production dropping by 40%. They had not realized how much of their operation was based on human innovations. A medical facility discovered that several of their most effective treatments used compounds derived from Earth biology. The supply was gone overnight. Patients went back to older, less effective medicines. Trade routes that had flourished with human merchant ships began showing gaps. Deliveries were late. Prices increased. The human ships had been moving goods between non-human species, connecting trade networks, filling gaps that other species had not bothered with. In the assembly hall, delegations began asking questions. Where are the humans? What are they doing in their territory? Why won't they respond to our communications? Vexler addressed the assembly with complete confidence. Humanity is reconsidering its position. They are isolated, dependent on galactic trade, limited in resources. They will return within the year, properly humbled. But probe ships sent to human borders came back with the same report. Automated defense platforms turned them away with a simple recorded message. Humans do not currently welcome visitors. Please depart. Any ship that refused to leave was disabled by weapons that struck with impossible precision, leaving crews unharmed but ships completely dead in space. Dr. Taeyong Lee worked in a facility that officially did not exist. Buried deep beneath the surface of Mars, around him, scientists from every human colony collaborated on projects that had been theoretical just months ago. The quantum drive is ready for testing, one researcher reported. Excellent, Taeyong said. What about the shield system? Prototype exceeds expectations by 40%. And the fabricators? Online and producing at full capacity. Taeyong allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had been holding back for 50 years, deliberately limiting what they showed the galaxy. Every technology they had shared had been carefully chosen, measured, controlled. It was time to stop pretending. On the edge of human space, construction facilities worked around the clock. Entire asteroids were being converted into shipyards. Space stations appeared where there had been empty void just weeks before. The scale of the construction was enormous. But it all happened behind the closed borders. Invisible to alien eyes, Senator Calmore requested a private meeting with Vexler 6 months after the human walkout. The two elder species representatives met in a secured chamber. Something is wrong, Calmore said without preamble. I have analyzed the human departure. It was too smooth, too coordinated. They had planned for this possibility. They are having a tantrum, Vexler replied dismissively. Let them sulk. This is not sulking. Every human citizen extracted from alien territory within 3 weeks. Every facility shut down simultaneously. Every communication channel closed in perfect coordination. This was a military operation, Vexler, not an emotional response. The reptilian chancellor shifted his bulk. What do you suggest? I suggest we consider that humanity has been far more prepared than we realized. I suggest we investigate what they are doing behind their borders. Our probes cannot penetrate their defense network. Exactly my concern. 3 months later. A Corvan commercial vessel passing near human space on a routine trade run reported something unusual. A massive energy signature deep inside human territory. The readings were like nothing in their database. More reports followed. Ships traveling near human borders detected strange pulses, electromagnetic distortions, signs of industrial activity on a scale that seemed impossible for humanity's known infrastructure. In the assembly, younger species began speaking up. The Corvan representative, Ambassador Tesh, addressed the council directly. We have been tracking energy signatures from human space. The data suggests they have increased their industrial output by 800% in 6 months. This is not a species in retreat. This is a species building something. Vexter reviewed the reports with growing irritation. Even if true, what of it? They are confined to their own territory. Let them build what they wish. But privately, he ordered military intelligence to focus on human space. The reports that came back were incomplete, frustrating, but consistent. Every long-range scan showed the same thing: massive construction, fleet movements, energy signatures that did not match any known human technology. Admiral Suji-Yun stood on the bridge of a ship that had not existed 7 months ago. The indomitable will was the first of its class, incorporating every advancement humanity had kept hidden, every weapon system they had developed in secret, every defense mechanism they had tested away from alien eyes. Fleet status? She asked her first officer. All 30 vessels report ready, Admiral. Suji looked at the tactical display. 30 ships, each one more advanced than anything humanity had previously shown the galaxy. And this was just the first wave. Behind them, the shipyards were producing more. Maintain ready status, she ordered. We wait for the right moment. That moment would come sooner than anyone expected. On the assembly station, trade representatives were beginning to panic. The economic impact of humanity's withdrawal was growing severe. Entire industries had relied on human efficiency, human innovation, human connection of disparate markets. We need to negotiate, a Draven counselor argued. Bring them back to the table. They ignored 17 communication requests, another representative countered. They have no interest in talking. Then we must demonstrate that we still control the situation. Send a fleet to their borders, a show of strength. Remind them that the Assembly has authority. Vexter considered this. Perhaps you are right. A demonstration of power may bring them to reason. Senator Calmore watched the vote with growing dread. The motion passed easily. A fleet would be assembled and sent to human borders within the month. He wanted to warn them. He wanted to tell the Assembly that this was a terrible mistake. But he had no proof, only instinct, only the memory of Ambassador Hana. Kim's eyes as she walked out of the chamber, the kind of certainty that came from knowing what would happen next. In human space. Intelligence reports about the Assembly's planned fleet. Demonstration reached Admiral Suji-Yun's desk within hours of the vote. She read them carefully, then made a simple notation. Perfect timing. Director Kyungbei smiled when he saw the same report. Humanity had been waiting for the galaxy to make exactly this kind of mistake. The Assembly believed they were sending a message. Instead, they were providing an opportunity. An opportunity for humanity to send a very different kind of message in return, General Korvax commanded. The Vraxian patrol fleet with the confidence of 200 years of military service. His 12 warships represented some of the most advanced military technology in the known galaxy. The Vraxian Empire had been a dominant force for 3,000 years. No one challenged their authority. Today, he was leading his fleet into the Kelver system, a disputed region on the edge of human space. Before the Developmental Limitation Act, the system had been jointly administered. Now, under the new restrictions, it rightfully belonged to whoever claimed it first. Take us into standard orbit around Kelver 9, he ordered. Begin landing the claim beacons. The planet was perfect for colonization. Rich in minerals, suitable atmosphere, strategically positioned. The humans had been developing preliminary surveys, but under the Act they had no legal right to continue. General, we're detecting a transmission, his communications officer reported. From the planet? No, sir. It's a human broadcast, but the source is unclear. Korvax felt a moment of concern, then dismissed it. Play it. A human voice filled the bridge, speaking in perfect Vraxian. Attention Vraxian fleet. You are in violation of sovereign human territory. Withdraw immediately. Korvax laughed. Sovereign territory? The Assembly has declared this region open for development. The humans have no standing to make territorial claims. General, his sensor officer called out, voice tight with alarm. We have multiple contact signatures appearing on long-range scans. From where? Everywhere, sir. They're just ... appearing. On the tactical display. New contacts bloomed into existence. 1, 5, 10, 20, 30 ships, all registering human energy signatures. All in positions that should have been impossible to reach without detection. Korvax stared at the display. That's impossible. No one can mask fleet movements that completely. Scanning their ship designs, the sensor officer reported. Sir, I don't recognize any of these configurations. They're not matching any known human vessel class. A new transmission came through. This time it was video. A human woman in a military uniform appeared on the screen. Admiral Suji Yoon looked directly into the camera with cold, professional calm. General Korvax, I am Admiral Suji Yoon of the Human Defense Fleet. This is your final warning. The Kelver system is under human protection. Your presence here is unwelcome. Withdraw immediately or face consequences. Korvax felt his scales ripple with irritation. Admiral, your government agreed to the Developmental Limitation Act by virtue of Assembly membership. You have no authority here. Stand down, or I will be forced to disable your vessels and file a formal complaint with the Assembly. Suji's expression did not change. General, humanity did not agree to any restrictions. A vote was held without our consent. The results of that vote have no authority over human actions. That is not how the Assembly works. I am not interested in debate, General. You have 30 seconds to begin your withdrawal. After that, we will consider your presence an act of aggression and respond accordingly. Korvax cut the transmission. Battle stations. Target the nearest human vessels. Prepare to disable their engines only. I want to avoid casualties if possible, but we will not be threatened by a species of children playing at war. His fleet moved into combat formation, weapons charging. They had fought dozens of engagements, defeated countless enemies. The Vrexian military was legendary. 30 seconds have elapsed, General. His tactical officer reported. On the tactical display, the human ships began moving. They did not form standard battle formations. They did not follow any recognized combat doctrine. They simply existed in perfect positions, as if they had known exactly where the Vraxian fleet would be. Fire, Korvax ordered, his weapons discharged. Brilliant beams of energy lancing toward the human vessels. The humans did not attempt to evade. They did not need to. Energy shields flared into existence around the human ships. Shields that bent and absorbed the Vraxian weapons fire like water flowing around stone. The technology was wrong, impossible, decades beyond anything humanity had previously demonstrated. Shields holding at 98%, his weapons officer reported, voice shaking. Sir, they're not even trying to dodge. All weapons full barrage. Overwhelm their defenses. Every ship in the Vraxian fleet opened fire simultaneously. The space between the two forces lit up with weapons discharge, enough firepower to level a city, enough energy to glass a continent. The human shields absorbed it all. Without dropping below 90%. Then. The humans fired back. Korvax had. Milliseconds to register the weapon signatures. Before his flagship was hit. The impact was precise, surgical, devastating. Every shield generator simultaneously failed. Every weapon system went offline. Life support remained functional. Engines remained operational. But every combat-capable system on his ship died instantly. Report! He roared. All weapons offline, sir. Shields non-responsive. Sensors showing similar damage across the fleet. All 12 ships are combat ineffective. Korvax looked at the tactical display in disbelief. 12 Cartesian warships, disabled in seconds. The human fleet had not taken a single point of damage. Admiral Suji Yoon's face appeared on the main screen again. Your ships are disabled but intact. Your crews are unharmed. You will find your engines still function. I suggest you use them to leave this system immediately. How? Korvax whispered. How is this possible? General, humanity has existed for 300,000 years. We survived ice ages without technology. We endured plagues that killed half our population. We fought wars so terrible we nearly destroyed ourselves. We learned to split atoms, to harness fusion, to manipulate quantum states, all while killing each other in increasingly creative ways. Suji leaned forward slightly. For 50 years, we showed your assembly only what we wanted you to see. We played the role of young species, eager to learn, grateful for guidance. We did this because we hoped for genuine partnership. The assembly chose differently. Now you see what we actually are. Captain Jiho Park appeared beside Suji on the screen. Your fleet has 17 minutes to clear the system boundary, General. After that, we will destroy your ships rather than simply disabling them. This is the only mercy you will receive. The transmission ended. Korvax looked at his bridge crew, seeing his own shock reflected in their expressions. Withdraw, he ordered quietly. Maximum speed. The Vraxian fleet limped away from Kelver 9, their weapons dark, their shields dead. Their pride shattered. Admiral Suji Yoon watched them go. Communications, prepare the battle footage for transmission. Admiral, should we encrypt it? Commander Yunahan asked. No, broadcast it openly on every frequency. I want every species in the galaxy to see exactly what happened here. Yes, Admiral. The footage went out minutes later. Every listening post, every communications array, every ship in range picked up the transmission. The Battle of Kelver 9, recorded in perfect detail from multiple angles, showing the destruction of a Vraxian fleet in 17 minutes without the human forces taking any damage. Captain Jiho Park's message accompanied the footage. Humanity did not agree to your restrictions. We never will. Consider this a reminder that laws only work when all parties consent. We do not consent. The response across the galaxy was immediate and chaotic. In the assembly hall, Vexler watched the footage 3 times, unable to believe what his eyes showed him. This cannot be real. This must be some kind of propaganda, fabricated images. Our intelligence confirms it, Senator Calmore said quietly. The Vraxian fleet is retreating with heavy damage. The human fleet is exactly where the footage shows. This is real, Vexler. But their technology, their weapons, their coordination, we had reports on human capabilities. This is decades beyond what they should possess. They were lying, Calmore said simply. For 50 years, they were showing us only what they wanted us to see. We thought we knew their capabilities. We knew nothing. Emergency sessions were called. Military commands across the galaxy scrambled to analyze the footage, to understand the technology, to assess the threat. The younger species watched with growing hope. The elder species watched with growing fear, because the message was clear. Humanity had been holding back. Humanity had been patient. Humanity had tried to work within the Assembly's framework. And now that patience was over. In human space, Admiral Suji Yoon received reports of fleet movements across the galaxy. Military forces mobilizing, alliances forming, emergency measures being implemented. They're scared, Commander Yunahan observed. Good, Suji replied. Fear leads to caution. Caution prevents stupidity, or it leads to desperate action. Suji nodded slowly. Then we prepare for that too. Status of the Second Fleet? Construction proceeding on schedule. We'll have 60 ships combat ready within 2 months. Accelerate the timeline. I suspect we're going to need them. On Earth, President Doyan Shin addressed the human population across all colonies. His message was brief and honest. For 50 years, we hoped for peace. We worked for understanding. We tried to be partners with the galaxy. Today, you have seen what happened when that effort was rejected. The galaxy now knows what we are capable of. What happens next depends on how they respond. But regardless of what comes, humanity will never again allow itself to be restricted, controlled, or limited by those who refuse to see us as equals. We are done pretending. The emergency coalition meeting included 12 of the galaxy's major powers. High Chancellor Vexler had called them together in secret, away from the assembly hall, in a secured facility that even the younger species did not know existed. "We face an unprecedented threat," Vexler began. "Humanity has revealed capabilities far beyond what we believed possible. If left unchecked, they will dominate the galaxy within a generation." The collective's representative, a floating sphere of crystallized thought, pulsed with concern. "Your intelligence reports are confirmed? Human military technology exceeds our own by significant margins. Their industrial capacity has increased exponentially. They are producing warships at a rate that should be physically impossible." "Then we have no choice," said the Talvex ambassador, a being of living metal. "We must act now while we still have numerical superiority. Force them to submit before they grow stronger." Senator Calmore, attending as an observer, spoke carefully. "This is a mistake. Humanity has shown restraint. They disabled the Vraxian fleet without casualties. They could have destroyed those ships but chose not to." "Perhaps negotiation? Vexler interrupted. "They refuse all communication. They have withdrawn completely. They respond to contact with threats and demonstrations of force. This is not a species interested in talking." "Because we gave them nothing to talk about?" Calmore argued. "We restricted them, insulted them, and expected gratitude. Now we plan to attack them and expect submission? This path leads to disaster." "The decision is made," Vexler declared. "The coalition will issue an ultimatum. Humanity will open their territory to inspection, limit their military to approved levels, and submit to assembly oversight. If they refuse, we will enforce compliance." The vote was unanimous among the coalition members. Calmore abstained, knowing his opposition was meaningless. 3 days later, the ultimatum was transmitted to human space on all frequencies. President Doyan Shin received it in his office, surrounded by his advisors. Ambassador Hana Kim had returned to Earth to serve as diplomatic counsel. Counselor Minho Choi now held the title of War Strategy Advisor. "They're serious," Minho said after reviewing the terms. 12 major powers, combined fleet strength of over 3,000 ships. If they move together, it's the largest military force ever assembled. Can we win? The president asked Admiral Sugi Yoon, present via secure hologram. "Yes," Suji replied without hesitation. "But the cost will be high. They have numbers. We have technology and training, but this will not be as simple as the Kelver engagement." President Shin looked at Hana. "Your recommendation?" "We tell them the truth," Hana said calmly. "All of it. Everything we've been hiding for 3 centuries. If they want war after that, at least they'll know exactly what they're starting. That reveals our greatest strategic advantage. Mr. President, our greatest strategic advantage is not that they underestimate us. It's that we learn from our own history. We know what total war looks like. We've lived through it. Most of these species have been at peace for centuries. They've forgotten what desperation drives people to do." Shin considered this, then nodded. "Prepare a response. Full disclosure. The response humanity sent shocked the galaxy more than the Battle of KELVA R-9. President Doyan Shin appeared on every communication channel, every frequency, every display across the known galaxy. His message was broadcast openly with full supporting documentation. 300 years ago, humanity detected the first alien signals. We found the Galactic Assembly. We listened to your transmissions, studied your languages, learned your technologies, and watched your civilizations from afar." Images appeared behind him, showing ancient human observation posts, hidden sensors, decades of collected data. "We spent 3 centuries preparing. We studied how your societies functioned, how your militaries operated, what you valued, what you feared. We learned from you, and we learned about ourselves in the process. More images. Human technological development, carefully documented, showing advancement far beyond what had been shared with the assembly. When we revealed ourselves 50 years ago, every technology we shared was deliberately limited. Every weakness we showed was calculated. Every diplomatic mistake was intentional. We wanted to appear young, inexperienced, harmless. We did this because humanity's history taught us a critical lesson. The images changed, showing Earth's bloody history. Wars, weapons, destruction on scales the galaxy had not seen in millennia. We know what it means to fight for survival. We know what it means to face extinction. We nearly destroyed ourselves a dozen times before leaving our planet. We learned, painfully and at terrible cost, that strength without wisdom leads only to ruin. Shin's expression hardened. So we came to you with wisdom. We offered partnership. We showed you a version of humanity that we hoped you could accept. We tried for 50 years to build something better than our history would suggest we were capable of. You rejected that offer. You decided we were too dangerous, too young, too unpredictable. You chose to restrict us, to control us, to treat us as children. Now you threaten us with military force if we do not submit to your authority. The president leaned forward, looking directly into the camera. Let me be absolutely clear about what you are threatening. Humanity has existed for 300,000 years. In that time, we survived predators that hunted us, diseases that decimated us, ice ages that should have killed us, and most dangerously, ourselves. We are the descendants of survivors, of fighters, of people who refused to die no matter what the universe threw at them. Your coalition fleet numbers 3,000 ships. Our current defensive fleet numbers 200. You believe you have overwhelming advantage. You are wrong. New footage appeared showing human shipyards, construction facilities, weapons testing, technological marvels that seemed impossible. This is not our full fleet. This is not our full capability. This is barely 10% of what we have prepared. We tried to avoid showing you this. We hoped we would never need to. But you have forced our hand. The footage showed weapons tests, shields that bent space itself, ships that could travel distances in seconds that should take hours, manufacturing systems that could produce a warship in days instead of months. If you bring your 3,000 ships to our space, we will destroy them. Not disable them, not capture them. Destroy them. And then we will demonstrate exactly what 3 centuries of preparation looks like when a species that has survived its own worst impulses decides. It will not be subjugated. Shin's voice softened slightly. We do not want this war. We came to the galaxy seeking friends, not enemies. But we will not be slaves. We will not be restricted. We will not be controlled. If you force us to choose between submission and survival, we will choose survival. And when humanity fights for survival, we do not lose. This is your choice. Withdraw the ultimatum and open genuine negotiations as equals, or face the full military capacity of a species that learned warfare fighting itself. Choose wisely. You will not get another chance. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, silence reigned for exactly 14 seconds. Then chaos erupted. In the coalition meeting, 4 members immediately moved to withdraw. The footage, the documentation, the sheer scale of what humanity had revealed was beyond anything they had imagined. This is propaganda, Vexler insisted. Intimidation tactics. They cannot possibly have the resources they claim. Can you prove that? The Talvex ambassador asked. Because I cannot risk my civilization on your certainty. I withdraw from the coalition. 2 more members followed immediately. Senator Calmore watched the coalition fracturing. I tried to warn you. They are bluffing, Vexler roared. They must be. Then test it, Calmore said coldly. Send your fleets. See what happens. But do not ask my people to join in your suicide. Within 24 hours, the coalition had shrunk from 12 powers to 4. The Vraxian Empire, still bitter from Kelver 9, the Collective, convinced that logic demanded humanity be stopped. The Tal Federation, a militaristic culture that believed the challenge had to be met. And the Nexus Compact, who had committed too deeply to withdraw without losing face, 4 powers, commanding approximately 800 ships between them, they issued a revised ultimatum. Humanity had 1 week to submit or face military action. Admiral Suji Yoon stood on the bridge of the Indomitable Will, now flagship of a fleet that numbered 500 combat vessels. Behind them, another 1,000 ships were in various stages of completion. Fleet status? She asked Commander Yunahan. All ships report ready. Captains are requesting permission to advance. Hold position. Let them come to us. Admiral, intelligence suggests the Coalition fleet will enter our space within 72 hours. I know. Captain Park, is your strike force prepared? Giho nodded from his position at the tactical station. 20 ships ready to deploy on your order. Good, when they enter our space, we end this quickly. No more demonstrations. No more warnings. We show them exactly what President Shin promised. Acknowledge. Suji looked at the tactical display, showing the Coalition fleet approaching human space. She felt no satisfaction in what was coming. Only grim determination. Humanity had tried peace. Now they would demonstrate war. And the galaxy would learn why a species that had survived itself was the most dangerous thing in the universe when threatened. The countdown began. 72 hours until the Coalition fleet crossed into human space. 72 hours until the galaxy learned the true meaning of human warfare. The Coalition fleet crossed into human space exactly on schedule. 800 ships, representing 4 of the galaxy's major military powers, advancing in perfect formation. High Chancellor Vexler commanded from the Vraxian Super Dreadnought Eternal Dominion, a ship that had never known defeat in 300 years of service. All ships report ready. Chancellor, his fleet coordinator announced. Human defensive positions detected at the border. They appear to be waiting for us. Vexler studied the tactical display. The human fleet numbered approximately 200 ships, positioned in a defensive sphere around their inner systems. Exactly as intelligence had predicted. They are outnumbered 4-1, he observed. Perhaps they realize the futility of resistance. Incoming transmission from the human fleet, Chancellor. Let me hear it. Admiral Suji Yoon's face appeared on the main screen. She looked tired, as if she had not slept in days. But her eyes were clear and cold. Chancellor Vexler, this is your final opportunity to withdraw. Turn your fleet around now, and we can still avoid what comes next. Admiral, you are outnumbered and outmatched. Surrender your fleet and open your space to assembly inspection, and we can end this without bloodshed. Suji's expression did not change. You saw the footage. You know what we are capable of. And still you come. Why? Because I do not believe you will actually fight. Because I believe, deep down, humanity still wants to be part of the galactic community. Because I think this is all intimidation and bluster, meant to secure better negotiating terms. You're wrong, Suji said quietly. But you'll learn that soon enough. All ships, weapons free. Execute protocol revelation. The transmission cut off. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then space itself seemed to tear open. Human ships appeared everywhere. Not the 200 vessels on the defensive screen. Not the 500 President Shin had mentioned. Thousands of ships materializing from nowhere, using stealth technology that made them effectively invisible until they chose to be seen. They appeared behind the Coalition fleet. Beside it, above and below it, in every direction simultaneously. The tactical displays went mad trying to catalog them all. Count! Vexler roared. 2,300 confirmed contacts, Chancellor. More still appearing. They have us surrounded? 2,000 ships? The revelation footage had shown impressive capability, but this was something else entirely. This was military might on a scale that should have taken centuries to build, appearing in less than a year. How? Vexler whispered. Captain Jiho Park's voice came over the communication channel, broadcasting to the entire Coalition fleet. You wanted to see what humanity could do. Now you see? This is 1/3 of our operational fleet. The rest are protecting our colonies and maintaining reserve status. We built this force while you debated and planned and convinced yourselves we were bluffing. Another voice joined in, this time from Commander Yunahan. You are surrounded. Your weapons are targeted. Your shields are mapped. We know every vulnerability in your fleet composition because we have been studying your militaries for 3 centuries. You cannot win this engagement. You cannot even survive it. Vexler felt something he had not experienced in his long life. True fear, all ships, he began. Too late, Admiral Sugi-Yun interrupted. You came here to force submission. Let me show you what submission actually looks like. The human fleet fired, not weapons meant to destroy. Weapons meant to demonstrate absolute superiority. Every coalition ship was hit simultaneously with precise, surgical strikes. Shield generators failed. Weapon systems went offline. Engines remained functional. Life support untouched. Communications active. In 15 seconds, 800 warships were reduced to floating debris with crews intact. You're alive, Suji said, her face reappearing on every coalition ship's main screen. You're breathing. Your ships are disabled but not destroyed. We could have killed every single one of you. We chose not to. Do you understand what that means? Vexler understood. It meant humanity had held back even now. It meant the weapons that disabled the fleet were not their full capability. It meant everything humanity had shown them, every demonstration of power, had still been restrained. Why? He asked, why spare us? Because we remember what we were, Suji replied. We remember when we would have killed you all and felt righteous doing it. We remember our own darkness. We spent 3 centuries learning to be better than our worst impulses. That does not mean we will not fight. It means we choose how we fight. President Doyan Shin's face replaced Z's on the screen. Your fleets are defeated. Your coalition is broken. Your attempt to subjugate humanity has failed completely. Now I offer you a choice. The choice we wanted from the beginning. Peace as equals or irrelevance? Join us in rebuilding the Galactic Assembly into something that actually serves all species. Or retreat to your territories and watch the galaxy move forward without you. Vexler looked at the tactical display, showing his entire fleet helpless, surrounded by thousands of human ships that could have killed them all. He thought about 3,000 years of Vrexian dominance, about the elder race's certainty of superiority, about the assumptions that had led them to this moment. We submit, he said quietly. No, Shin replied. You do not submit. You participate. As equals. That is the only option. Submission is what you wanted from us. Equality is what we demand from you. Over the following week, the coalition fleet was escorted back to their territories in groups, given time to repair their ships with human assistance, and sent home with complete records of their defeat. The message was clear. Humanity had won. Humanity had shown mercy. And humanity would not tolerate another attempt at dominance. 3 months later, the Galactic Assembly reconvened. The chamber looked the same, but everything had changed. The elder races no longer occupied the central positions. The chamber had been reorganized into a circular arrangement, with no species holding position over any other. Ambassador Hana Kim stood before the assembly once more. This time she was not alone. Representatives from 40 younger species stood with her. Species that had suffered under elder race dominance, that had been waiting for someone to break the old system. The old assembly is dissolved, Hannah announced. We propose a new charter. Equal representation for all species. No permanent power structures. No restrictions based on age or development. Decisions by majority vote with no species holding veto power except in matters of collective defense. Vexler, attending as a regular representative now, not as chancellor, stood to speak. And if we refuse this new charter? Then you are free to leave the assembly and govern yourselves, Hana replied. The human race will not force you to participate. But we will not participate in a system that treats any species as inferior. Choose freely. The vote took 3 hours. When it concluded, the new charter passed with 78% approval. The elder races split in their vote. Some, like Calmore-S people, embraced the change. Others, including the Vraxians, voted against but agreed to abide by the majority decision. The galaxy had a new structure. One built not on age or power, but on the principle that all species deserved equal voice. 1 year after the walkout, Captain Jiho Park stood on the observation deck of the assembly station. Watching ships from dozens of species patrol together, a young Corvan officer approached him, curious and respectful. "Captain Park, may I ask you something?" "Of course." "If humanity had all this power, why pretend to be weak for so long? Why not take control from the beginning?" Jiho looked out at the stars, considering his answer carefully. "Because the strong do not need to prove their strength. My species spent thousands of years proving our strength to each other. We built weapons that could destroy our world. We fought wars that killed millions. We learned, finally, that real strength is not in domination. It is in restraint. But when the assembly tried to restrict you, we demonstrated what happens when restraint is mistaken for weakness." Jiho continued. "We gave the galaxy 50 years of peace. We tried to be partners. When that was rejected, we gave them 6 months of education. Now we offer a choice. Partnership as equals or irrelevance." The Corvan officer looked thoughtful. "The elder races call humans dangerous." "They're right," Jiho said quietly. "We are dangerous. Every species that has survived their own worst nature is dangerous. But we choose to use that danger to protect rather than dominate. That is the lesson we hoped the galaxy would learn without needing to see our weapons. And now? Now the galaxy is watching itself decide. Will they learn from this? Will they build something better? Or will we need to teach them again?" Jiho turned to face the young officer. "I hope we never need to teach them again." On Earth, President Doyon Shin addressed the human population for what he promised would be the last time as a wartime leader. "The crisis has passed. The galaxy knows what we are capable of. More importantly, they know we choose restraint over destruction. We choose partnership over domination. This does not mean we disarm. This does not mean we become vulnerable again. It means we have earned the peace we always wanted, through strength demonstrated but not abused. The coming generations will not remember the developmental limitation. They will not remember the battle of Kelvernine. They will grow up in a galaxy where humanity is accepted as an equal, where our voice matters, where our sovereignty is unquestioned. That is what we fought for. That is what we achieved. But never forget. Never forget that we achieved it not through submission, not through acceptance of restrictions, but through the willingness to fight for what we deserved. Never forget that sometimes peace requires the capacity for war, and wisdom requires the willingness to demonstrate power. The galaxy is watching us now. Let us show them that humanity can be trusted with strength. Let us prove that we learn from our mistakes. Let us build something better than our history suggested we were capable of." In the new assembly hall, a monument was erected. It showed a human figure walking out of a chamber, head held high, back straight. The inscription below was simple: "Never again shall the young be chained." Species from across the galaxy would come to study it, to understand the moment when the balance of galactic power shifted forever. Some would see it as a warning, others as inspiration, but all would remember the day humanity stormed out of the assembly and the galaxy, learned what it meant to underestimate a species that had survived itself, the elder race's dominance, had ended not with conquest but with choice. They could participate as equals, or they could fade into irrelevance. Most chose participation. A few chose isolation. All chose to remember and humanity, having demonstrated their power, returned to the work they had always wanted to do. Building, growing, learning, exploring. But now they did it as equals, with no restrictions, no limitations, no ancient powers deciding their future. They did it free.